اليوم الندوة عن المرأة والأدب بشكل عام تتكلم، وهو نشاط تبادلي بين سفارة إسبانيا في الكويت والجمعية الثقافية النسائية، وحضروا معنا عدد من الكاتبات الإسبانيات وعدد من الكاتبات الكويتيات، وصار في مثل نوع من تبادل الثقافة أو تبادل الأدبي، خلينا نقول، بين الثقافة الإسبانية والثقافة الكويتية. الندوة بشكل عام كانت تتكلم عن أثر الثقافة والأدب على المرأة بشكل عام، إن كانت في الكويت أو في إسبانيا، والآثار المترتبة، وأساساً الخلفية اللي تدعو المرأة للكتابة بالأساس. فكل كاتبة تكلمت عن تجربتها وعن أساسها اللي جعلها اليوم تطلع لنا بهذا الشكل. تشرفنا احنا في الجمعية في إقامة هذه الندوة، لأن هذا جزء أو أحد أدوار الجمعية الثقافية النسائية في تعزيز الثقافة والأدب يعني في المجتمع الكويتي بشكل عام.
Culture seems to play a huge role in creating some sort of a human connection, and as due to the COVID reasons, I'm really glad to have that kind of a social interaction back again. And first of all, we would like to welcome His Excellency Miguel Mor Aguilar for his welcoming speech as a beginning, so we can proceed with the stance.
We are very honored, the Spanish Embassy, here to be at this society, at this association, opening this roundtable about women and literature with two new attractive voices of the Spanish literature. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to Mrs. Almula and the whole board. From the very first moment, they have been very enthusiastically willing to participate and to collaborate and to help us to prepare this event. Thank you so much as well to her team at the association, which I know is doing a very important and outstanding work in favor of all women in Kuwait. Let me extend this appreciation to our staff at the embassy, in particular Guillermo, the DCM, Ms. Wafa Sweden, Numan, she's somewhere over there, because they have been really multiplying themselves these days to be present in all the activities in the tight agenda that we have been preparing for the two Spanish writers these days in Kuwait. But let us first point out that it is in the framework of the 60th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Spain and Kuwait that both the Embassy of Spain in Kuwait and the Kuwaiti Embassy in Spain are intending, before the year comes to an end, to hallmark the significance of the bilateral links in different spheres, including, of course, the people-to-people relationship. Tonight's event is focused on literature, perhaps one of the best and long-lasting bridges between societies and cultures, despite distance and time. In a steadily more liquid society, as the Polish sociologist Zygmunt Bauman defined our nowadays reality, literature represents, in a way, the soul of a nation, of a people, an effective tool to express and convey the deepest and more substantial permanent feelings beyond the immediate ones that are continuously circulating 24 hours a day by the various social media throughout the globe. As Miguel de Cervantes once stated, writing is the language of the soul. As an example of this strong power of literature throughout history, the works of the Andalusi writers, as Ibn Rushd or Ibn Khaldun, still connect all of us with the refined culture and transport us there of the Al-Andalus medieval times. The same as the works of Miguel de Cervantes, Lope de Vega, or Benito Pérez Galdós, who portray to the whole world the image of Spain in the 17th or the 19th century. But what about the current Spain and its contemporary writers, the ones thinking or expressing right now their feelings or perceptions of the world? Today, we are trying to open a small window to the thoughts and feelings, at least to the world of two young Spanish writers who have come to Kuwait and are here with us tonight. And thank you so much for being here, Margarita and Natalia. We know it wasn't really easy to travel amid these pandemic times. My first impression these days with the two writers invited tonight is that they have a very promising reality and future ahead. Their career is still in the making to a certain extent, but they have plenty of projects, reflections, and feelings to bring to our society. They have a very intimate literature showing very personal experiences, as you will be able to appreciate very soon. I am sure their books and writings, as well as their personal experience as young, enthusiastic female writers, may offer you a new perspective about the current cultural scenario in Spain, and they may even inspire you, why not, to follow their footsteps and to plunge you in the fascinating adventure of writing yourselves as a way to share your own perspectives about the world we are living in. Both Margarita and Natalia have been brave enough to try to make it happen in their lives for the last few years. Last but not least, it is not by chance that we are here at the Women's Association of Kuwait, as our two guests are women. The Spanish government and our society are keen in promoting the role of women in all aspects of our lives. Margarita and Natalia are here for their excellent literature, but at the same time, it seems to us very interesting to think of them as well as two women of their generation in nowadays Spain. Their presence in Kuwait is an excellent occasion, so to open a fruitful and enriching dialogue with Kuwaiti women or from other nationalities residing here in this country. Many thanks again to all of you for accompanying us here tonight, and let me wish you an interesting, fun discussion.
About my experience, I think it started when I was really little with my grandmother. She used to tell me stories, and I used to listen to them, of course, because I was a good granddaughter. And that lit a spark. And I think it was the spark of reading. So I started reading a lot because my grandmother read a lot too. She was lucky enough to be one of the few women who got the chance to learn how to read and to write before the war. So she had this amazing and passionate love for literature that she passed to me. And I think it all started like that. So while I grew up, I realized there were some books that I liked more than others. A very dear teacher of mine showed me how to read and how to choose between good and bad literature. So I kept growing and writing, and until I made my first book, and then I made a second one. But I think the real valuable experience is not the publishing, but the journey you take into that.
I wrote some notes down because I have a tendency to ramble and wander, so I thought this way I can be more compact. So when I was 17 years old, I was in college and felt that so many of our political problems were due to limitations in the ways we think, express ourselves, and our capacity to imagine alternative solutions that are beyond extreme binaries. And this led me to focus my energy on the literary sphere. I thought if I could nurture a generation of artists who would develop their thinking processes, get better at expressing themselves without eliminating other ways of being in the process, and grow their capacity to imagine, to think outside the box, to see and conceptualize a future that they could then work toward, this new generation, with their creative gaze and their agency and desire to be impactful on a social level, would help tip the political pendulum on the side of diversity, tolerance, and compassion. So I wrote articles, poetry, and fiction. I performed for diverse audiences. I participated with and linked numerous organizations and groups together. And most important of all, I mentored, nurtured, fostered, helped writers improve the relationship to language, to critical thinking, and to creativity.
Well, this place, your country, is really inspiring. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to meet you and to visit your country and your culture. Well, in my case, when I was a teenager, I started reading a lot, everything. I was a really bookworm, and I think that when you are a teenager, you need to express yourself. So I needed to express myself, and it was through literature, through this type of creativity, right? So I wanted to do the same as my favorite writers do. So I started writing. First of all, poetry. Then I combined poetry and short stories, and well, that's why I started writing, and then that's why I chose my studies, my literary studies.
I started writing when I was maybe 13, 12, around the teenagers' age, and it was published in a way in the newspapers by the help of my father, who admired my writings. And when I was 17, I wrote a complete novel for youth, of course, but I still treasure it. And I find it, wow, it was good for 17 years old girl or writer. But my first book, a short stories book, published in 2003, and I received the State Award in 2011 for my second short stories book. I have 5 books, 3 of them short stories and 2 novels. All of them are fiction writing. This is my area. During my writing journey, I discussed most of the human needs. Of course, woman is human, and children and people in general, dealing with many aspects of life, including struggles to survive, and request of justice, work concern, the status of women in the society, and intergenerational conflict. The stories also display romance challenges as well as horror and science fiction, highlighting disease, inventions, technology, and much more. Writing about all these subjects offered me self-fulfillment, joy, and a strong belief in my responsibility to say what other people cannot say, using my words, facts, and imagination to inspire the readers.